Okay, we want to welcome everybody to our school board meeting. We have moved from West Side to Smithfield High School, in case some of you online may be wondering where we are. Anyway, we are in week 1 of 2020 school year, and it has been like no other we have ever experienced. And 2020 continues to never cease to amaze us, because our first week of school we had to close because of flooded roads and some flooded schools, in fact. So anyway, we have definitely taken the challenges head on, and we will survive, right? Yes. Okay, we're going to ask Ms. Perkins to open us up with the pledge and a moment of silence.
We need to.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm ready to go with this stuff. Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that the closed meeting was conducted in conformity with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as required by Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, and certify that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
Okay, now we are ready for the pledge and the moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're ready for the Isle of Wight Achievers.
Good evening. Tonight we will be recognizing a staff member and a few students as Isle of Wight Achievers. And we'll consult real quick. Do we want to have board members come out or have them stay behind? We would love to have the board members come out and stand 6 feet apart. I think if you do your airplanes, that'll work. And we'll have them stand, our achievers come and stand in front of you. We will not be shaking hands, and they already have their pins and certificates. Airplanes, very good. Okay, all right. Okay. The vision for Isle of Wight County Schools is to create a learning environment that will enable every child to discover his or her unique gifts and talents. The Isle of Wight Achievers section of our board meeting gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our students and staff for their unique talents and gifts. Our first honoree is actually already up here from Windsor High School. We're recognizing Leah Carroll. Leah, a senior at Windsor High, has been selected for the College Board National Rural and Small Town Recognition Program. She earned the recognition because of her remarkable academic achievements and outstanding performance on the PSAT. This recognition will help colleges see the potential and power of her curiosity and commitment to learning. As a National Rural and Small Town Recognition Program winner, the College Board will help make it easier for Leah to connect directly to colleges around the country, and they will help colleges see the range of her talents and interests by sharing some of her achievements. Colleges know that students who have earned this recognition are some of the most talented across the country. Congratulations to Leah on receiving this honor. That's Leah right there. And Mr. Elliott's going to get a photo. You can take, yes. Y'all are distanced enough that you can take your masks off if you would like. Okay, that's Thank you. Congratulations, Leah. Okay, our next honoree is from Smithfield Middle School, and that's Matt Pettit. And Matt, if you'll come up and stand, you can stand maybe right in the center here, David? Okay, so just, once again, a little distance out from them. Perfect. And likewise, if you feel okay taking your mask off, you can do that, but it's up to mom and dad? Okay, all right. Just always like to make sure we're good. So you might recognize Matt's name. We've seen him before. Matt is a 7th grader at Smithfield Middle School. He was able to compete in the AAU Nationals for diving in early August in Indianapolis. In the 12 and 13-year-old group, Matt placed 4th on the 1-meter board. Did you have a medal for 4th? Okay, so that's the medal for 4th on the 1-meter board. 2nd on the 3-meter board, and that's that one. And 1st on the tower. He placed 1st in nationals in the 12 and 13-year-old age group. That is so exciting. So he is the national champion in that age group on the tower. We are excited Matt was able to compete and show off his gifts and talents. He is an incredible athlete and an incredible person, and a wonderful representative of Smithfield Middle School and Isle of Wight County Schools. And we're so glad you could be with us tonight. And Mr. Elliott's going to take a photo of you with the board members. And Matt shared with us copies of his certificates that he got for his competition. Matt, congratulations. We are very proud of you. That is a lot of bling on his neck. That is really cool. That's really cool. So, we kind of have a theme going here with national recognitions, and we're not breaking from that yet. Our next honoree is from Carrollton Elementary School, and that would be STEM teacher Pam Hall. So Pam, you come on up. Pam was one of the 8 teachers from across the country selected as a 2020 National Excellence in Teaching about Agriculture award winner, so only one of 8 in the entire country. The National Agriculture in the Classroom Organization, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and Farm Credit partner each year to honor teachers in pre-K through 12th grade from around the country for the innovative ways they use agricultural concepts to teach reading, writing, math, science, social studies, STEM, STEAM, and more. Earlier this year, Hall was recognized as the Virginia Ag in the Classroom 2020 Teacher of the Year for Virginia for incorporating agriculture into her core curriculum. Hall's mission is to integrate agriculture into the classroom all year long. She uses hands-on approaches, including studying plant and animal life cycles, taking farm nature walks, visiting with farmers, making ice cream, investigating and raising pollinators, and experimenting with hydroponics. Information on her recognition can be found on the National Agriculture in the Classroom website. We are very proud of Pam, very honored that we have a national award winner, national recognition here with us. So we congratulate you, and David's going to take a photo real quick. Good. Congratulations, Pam. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. It's awesome. Yes, Pam. You can stand up here.
I just see Mr. Brittle and Mr. Judkins and Mrs. Patterson. And I just want to say, an award like this doesn't happen by yourself. It takes other people supporting you, and it takes people in the community. So I just want to say that I'm honored, but it's a reflection of all of those that have been willing to go on the journey with me. So thank you for all of those that have helped me, supported me, and worked with me. Thank you.
Well, and that's an awesome segue, Pam, into it really is. You didn't know that. We have a special presentation, so we're going to wrap up Achievers with a special presentation. And I am excited to announce that Isle of Wight County Schools is being awarded a $15,000 grant through the America's Farmers Grow Rural Education Program, which helps farmers support their local rural public school districts. The America's Farmers Grow Rural Education Program partners with farmers to nominate their local school district to apply for math and science grants through the program. Since 2011, the program has given over $18 million to more than 900 rural public school districts. Joining us to celebrate this achievement are several individuals involved with the grant application. And when I call your name, if you'll come up, and David will get you in the right spot. We have Kristen Fermella, one of our instructional coordinators. Not sure if Kristen's with us. We have Jeff Mordica, Director of Innovation and Strategic Planning. We have Jason Brittle, Agriculture Teacher. Come on up. We have Daniel Judkins, Farm Manager. And they've got a few. Daniel's got the important item, even though we can't actually cash that, but it verifies that we won. Okay, good. And Jason's got the fun item. We've got hats if people would, I think we have a couple hats if anyone would like a hat. I'm not sure if we've got one. We have 5. Oh, okay. Leah's going to pass. Thank you, Leah. That's very nice. There you go, Mr. Wilson. And we would, let's see. We would also like to recognize the farmers who nominated Isle of Wight County Schools for the grant, because without their nomination, we would not have been able to apply. So I know we've got one of our farmers tonight, Sean Carr. Is that right? Sean, if you'll come on up. The other farmers were Mark Carr, Richie Carr, and Pamela Oliver. So we appreciate all of them nominating us. And I've got a few other comments, but we want to go ahead and do a photo. So David, Mr. Elliott's going to come over here and take a photo, get everybody organized. And it's up to y'all if you're distance and you would like to take your mask off. Don't leave. Because I also want to say, so the grant is for a program called Farm to Fork. They'll be using the greenhouse.
Yeah, so we are going to be building a greenhouse. It is 34 foot wide by 72 feet long. Our high school students will grow produce to put, we're going to start at the cafeteria at Windsor Elementary. Is the goal, so we'll have fresh produce going into that cafeteria that our high school kids are growing.
Isn't that awesome? Straight farm to
And
table.
then we're going to build on it. That's going to be the pilot program, and then we're going to build on it for the years to come.
So, yeah, that's awesome. And if this seems a little familiar, this situation, it's because Isle of Wight County Schools won $10,000 last year through the same program. I see a positive trend. So Mr. Brittle and Mr. Judkins will be back in October at our meeting then to give you an update on how the funding was used from last year and to show how it's benefited the Land Lab. Once again, we want to congratulate all of you who put together a great application. Your hard work helped to secure this $15,000 grant. And thank you to the farmers who nominated Isle of Wight County Schools, because without your nomination, like I said, we couldn't have applied because you have to be nominated. Okay, well, we appreciate.
Every year I get the notification from there, and they send it to me. And then as soon as I get it, this person in this party, tell you, as soon as I get it, I do it, and I send the email straight to both of them and tell them, hey, I've done it, I've nominated, and then I just start putting it out to everybody on my contact list that they would have to do it.
Well, we appreciate you thinking of us and doing that and giving us the opportunity. And, you know, it's been great that we've been able to be selected 2 years in a row with significant funding amounts, and I'm pretty confident in saying we're going to continue applying every time we get nominated. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we hope, we hope this is a regular occurrence in September, right? That would be nice. So, well, thank you guys very much. And with that, we're going to conclude Achievers. And thank you. And I'm actually still up here. I have another item that's not part of Achievers, but every October, the Virginia School Boards Association designates October as Bullying Prevention Month. And we wanted to go ahead and get the proclamation on the September board agenda so we could have the board approve the proclamation before the month begins. We do this each year, and our schools will have activities in place. Granted, it might look a little different this year, but they will be promoting bullying prevention throughout the schools in October. So I'm presenting the proclamation, and I believe it's an action item for the board to approve.
Madam Chair, I would like to approve the proclamation that has been presented as far as Isle of Wight County Public Schools designating October as bullying
Prevention Month.
prevention month.
You got it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, the motion passed. Okay, next on the agenda is request to speak.
We don't have anything signed up.
Okay. Board member committee reports. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is financial presentations.
Good evening. You have before you the large ticket item, the checks register and summary for August of the financial reports and the facility usage report. I'd like to point out that last year at this time, we had spent or encumbered 18.4%, and as of now, it's a little bit lower, which is kind of expected considering where we are right now at 17.1%. And I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Okay, I was looking at the large budget items and just informational kind of a thing. The $45,000 for the American Reading Company, it's a renewal. Can you just kind of explain what that involves? What is the renewal for that? I think
Is it okay if I ask
Sure.
instruction just because I don't want to
Absolutely.
misspeak?
That is for School Pace, which is the online monitoring piece, and also for Bookshelf, that is the online books that all grades are using.
when you say all grades,
Yeah, literally K through 12, depending on if they are using art. So it really
Okay.
depends. So K-8 for sure, and it's, there's titles of online books. So
Now-
it's a subscription for that.
so if a 7th or 8th grader has, what do they have? What do they have? Not iPads and not, they have Chromebooks. So,
They have MacBooks. Yes, it's available.
Seventh and eighth have them.
okay. All right, and School Pace, did we have that last year? Is that something new?
Oh, no, that we've had that. That's where the teachers actually put their documentation for their conferencing and leveling.
Okay,
So we're continuing to do that. It's actually very valuable now. They've
Absolutely.
given us more online features since it's
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
I think the next item is mine as well. This is an action item, and it's, as you all are aware, we've received CARES funds in the amount of $529,092.94, and the action is just to approve and recommend that we ask the Board of Supervisors for appropriation to our budget.
Okay, this is an action item. I need a motion.
I make a motion to request the $540,000 in additional CARES funding from the county to be allocated to maintenance category. Is that this?
No, ma'am, that's further on.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Well, change the wording and do that in our second.
I make a motion to use the $540,000. Is that what we're doing?
This is
Sorry, now I'm all
our, that's okay,
confused.
the $540,000 has actually been allocated to the county, and they're going to give it to us. That's later on in tonight's meeting.
Right.
This is the CARES funds that were applied direct, or that were given directly
Okay.
to us, and our application has gone through DOE and been approved. But because it was not part of our budget process to begin with, we have to ask for additional appropriations. So we're just asking the Board of Supervisors for additional appropriations of the money that DOE has given us directly.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriations requests to the Board of Supervisors.
Second?
Do we have a motion, and it has been seconded?
I'm sorry.
It's acting crazy. What do I need to do? Just change this.
Okay, the motion carries. Next is the resolution for Alawite County Schools refinancing.
Okay, as you are aware, several years ago now, during my break in service, there were some upgrades done to many of our facilities to help make us more efficient. Some of it was for greening us up, and we had to take out a 20-year loan in order to do that. And in all of this wonderful economic process, our rates are decreasing. And so we asked that we have some help sending out some RFPs so that we could actually refinance that loan and lower our interest rate and therefore our payment and our total out-of-pocket expense for these changes that took place in our facilities. And the resolution tonight is taking one of those recommendations forward, and if we can come up with a contract with the company that's our number one pick, then so be it, and if not, giving us the opportunity to work with Davenport and Company and others with Dr. Thornton to pursue number two on the list. And we do have a short presentation. I'm not sure how to pull it up. There we go. And we also have a representative tonight that I'd like to introduce, and this is Chris Culp. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Chris Culp from Hunt and Andrews Kurth. I serve as bond counsel for the school system, so I help put the documentation together and prepare the tax opinion that the ultimate bank will like to receive for closing. I worked on the original 2014 financing, and I worked with the Davenport folks as well to sort of review the RFP results, and so I'm glad you got some a good story to tell tonight and a good bid results.
Do I run this with this? Okay, thank you. You can tell I don't normally have presentations. You will not be able to read that screen from here. And the first page really just kind of walks through the process. And what we did was send out an RFP asking for, again, just being able to refinance, what they could do for us, what their interest rates would be. And there were 4 responses. And of those responses, 2 of them are the ones we're bringing forward tonight, one of them being BB&T. Our current rate is over 3%, and BB&T came in at 1.72%, or as we show here on the screen. And again, I apologize, you can't see it, but you do have it in front of you, board members. A net present value savings of $776,000, or 13%. The second one in line was Farmers Bank. They came in at 2%, or a $651,000 present value savings, or a 10.9% savings. And so again, our recommendation is to go with BB&T, and the resolution before you tonight, again, gives Dr. Thornton and Davenport and Mr. Culp the permission to move forward trying to negotiate that. And if for some reason we could not satisfy that contract with BB&T, then that resolution also says we can move forward with trying to pursue something with Farmers Bank.
This is good news.
Very good news. It's very good news.
Okay, any questions? Okay, this is
I make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Second?
okay, we have a motion and second.
Get that interest rate down.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you so much. Okay, next is the budget calendar.
It's that time of year.
Yes, it is.
So you have before you, there aren't a lot of changes other than dates. The format is the same as we had last year. We did add a couple of items last year, and we've kept those items on, and that's to have the general public, not a public hearing that's documented, but a pre-public hearing before we get this started, and also to give the board an opportunity to give their feedback to us before we start this whole process. So that's, again, just an action item to move forward with beginning the next year's budget process.
Okay, can I get a motion? We need a motion for the budget calendar.
Madam Chair, I move that we go forward with the budget calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and it has been seconded.
I don't know why it didn't come up. No, it just didn't come up. Yeah, you can do verbal. It'll be out.
Okay, motion passed. All right, next is 14.5. This was added to the agenda on the CARES.
And yes, the Board of Supervisors has been very generous, and in their second wave of CARES funding, they have allotted $540,000 to us to spend, and we will be spending that on classroom furniture. And this again, because of the process and we get categorically funded, even though they've given it to us in their grant application, we have to ask for appropriation. So this is where we're asking for additional appropriations to be funded in the maintenance category so that we can purchase classroom furniture for the division.
I make a motion to request the $540,000 in addition CARES funding from the county to be allocated to the maintenance category for school desks to assist with social distancing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and it has been seconded. Okay, motion passed. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much,
much.
Rachel. Okay, next on the agenda is support services, and we're going to begin with transportation.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I walked in, I got a present tonight, my own microphone. Mr. Cooprider said I have this program directly for your voice, so he makes me sound like a superstar over there. So before you have the monthly transportation update, and I can answer any questions or attempt to answer any questions if you have any. I would like to highlight the last portion there in the third week in October is always celebrated as National School Bus Safety Week. And we normally do our employee appreciation during that week, although during the COVID-19 situation, we're not going to do the breakfast this year. We'll probably do something a little bit more individualized with our folks, and then hope maybe in the spring things are cleared up and we can have a little bit more of a celebration at that point in time. And I did put the fuel report on. I did not do that last month as it was not available, but the fuel that we spent in July was, well, a combination of the meal buses that we ran and our summer school program. So anything else? And I've got the next item as well. On September 2nd, we had our annual back-to-school meeting with our folks. And we just wanted to kind of highlight what we did this year. And I do have copies of our agenda here for you folks too, if you'd like. But we met on September 2nd, basically from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. Yeah, Tracy's going to come here. Thank you. And every year we do an overview of our handbook. That's always there. And Miss Elliott came and took care of benefits and any HR questions. We had a COVID-19 question review, and about the first part of August, we had a meeting with our drivers, and we collected a bunch of questions from them, and we reviewed them at that point in time, and we answered a few more that they had as well. And then we moved into our pandemic training and how we're handling sanitizing and interacting with not only the students but with each other and colleagues and parents. We did A-B routing, which is the A day and the B day, because believe it or not, that's kind of confusing, especially when we started on B day and not A day. So we went over that. We did, I was racking my brain how I could do the training with our folks, being that the bus is kind of an enclosed area, and not have to do everything one-on-one, because that's a lot of people. So I came up with the idea of doing the training video. And we had Mr. Elliott come over one day to the bus garage, and we've got a bunch of movie stars in our fleet, and we let some of them shine. So at this point in time, we'll go ahead and take a look at the video and how we trained our folks.
The school bus has long been the safest way for students to travel to and from school. This year, Isle of Wight County Schools is taking new measures to make sure that this standard is not only met, but exceeded. Each employee is required to wear a face covering while in your bus with students or other employees. You may take your face covering off inside your bus while it is empty. Each employee will be provided with a reusable Isle of Wight County Schools face mask, but you may use whatever you are most comfortable with. Each employee will also be provided a plastic face shield. The face shield should be used when in close proximity with a student in addition to a face covering. You should not wear the face shield while driving because it can cause distorted vision, especially in the blind spots. Be sure to take your face shield with you at the end of each route and do not leave it in the bus or in a hot car as it will melt in the hot sun. Each bus will also have a box of disposable gloves. You may choose to wear the gloves as much as you feel comfortable. However, you should wear the gloves while using cleaning agents. Be sure to dispose of your gloves properly. Prior to beginning any route, each driver should sanitize high-touch areas in the front of the bus, including door frames, handrails, and the driver's area. To clean the driver's area, do not spray the Virex spray directly onto electrical switches or the steering wheel. Instead, use sanitizing wipes or spray the Virex sanitizing spray onto a paper towel, then wipe the areas down. Excess dirt and trash needs to be removed from the floor prior to sanitizing the seating area. All seats, windows, and high-touch areas are to be misted with the Virex sanitizing spray upon the completion of every route. You may leave the spray to dry on its own. However, if there's not ample drying time prior to the beginning of the next route, the seats need to be wiped down with a paper towel. If you are at any of the school buildings and need Virex refills, please see one of the building janitors. Mechanics at the school will have a small amount of Virex refills, so it is preferred that you refill the Virex at the bus garage. When using the Virex refill station, set the dial to the bottle that contains the concentrated Virex solution. Place the tube inside the empty spray bottle and press the bottle against the yellow button, similar to a soda dispenser. When the empty spray bottle is full, release the yellow button and tightly replace the spray nozzle lid and return to your bus. Each driver will be provided with a pump bottle of gel hand sanitizer. Be sure not to leave the bottle in direct sunlight. You should use this as soon as you remove your gloves, and you should offer it to anybody who needs it. If you run low, see an Isle of Wight County Schools mechanic for refills. Each bus will also have a container of sanitizing wipes, which you may use in place of the hand sanitizer. Use the wipes to wipe high-touch areas as well as the driver's area. Be sure not to leave the sanitizing wipe container in direct sunlight. When loading students at the bus stop to go to school, make sure students walk to the bus safely. All students are required to wear face coverings, and should they forget them, you will be provided a box of disposable masks. Load students one at a time, allowing for social distancing. Students are required to sit in an assigned seat and should sit next to the window. Students should load from rear to front with one child per seat. Children living in the same household are allowed to sit together in the same seat. When unloading students at the school, students sitting closest to the front will leave first. Unload from front to back and remind students to wait to allow room for social distancing before leaving their seat. Make sure that the personal protection equipment you are wearing is not obstructing your line of sight as you watch the students reach a point of safety. When loading students at school to go home, make sure students allow room for social distancing as they enter the bus. Make sure that your seating arrangements are such that the first student who will be dropped off is sitting in the front, and the last student to be dropped off will be sitting in the rear. Encourage students to sit near the windows to allow students that need to pass by as much opportunity as possible for social distancing. When unloading at home bus stops, if you have multiple students getting off at the same stop, make sure they allow for social distancing. Also, make sure that the personal protection equipment you are wearing is not obstructing your line of sight as you watch the students reach a point of safety. In the event there is a confirmed case of COVID-19 on a bus, SSC will be brought in to deep clean the bus, and it will be quarantined for a minimum of 24 hours before it is put back into service. From everyone at Isle of Wight County Schools, thank you for all your hard work and dedication in making sure that the school bus stays the safest way for students to travel.
That was outstanding.
We didn't realize we had actors in our play here. So our employees really loved watching that video, and we've actually shared that with them so they can have the opportunity to view it again if they need to. So, and we still have copies of it too. So, if you folks would like it, we can probably get you a copy of it if you want to. And then the
Heard
last,
you told a few jokes there, too. Did you tell a few jokes?
I might have.
Yeah.
I don't.
You can share
don't
that with us,
remember.
too, if you'd like.
I'll have
Maybe
to.
not.
I'll have to work on that for next
Okay.
month.
All right, we'll expect that in October.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. The last thing we did that day was do our attendance awards, and I know last year was a shortened year, but I felt that it was very important to recognize those individuals again that were at their post every day that we served the students. And we did so with a jacket again this year. And those that received jackets were Connie Bryant, Christina Davis, Bernard Jones, Alicia Ely, Linda Drake, Betty Ward, Lisa Heron, Jeannie Coleman, Frank Fullington, Bobby Edwards, Kathy Howren, Whit Scott, Carol Robertson, and Marie Stevenson. So we congratulate them, and it's a lot to ask those folks to be there every day. So I feel it's very important we recognize them for that. So. And that's all I have for you this evening, unless you have any questions. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one question for you, Transportation Director. Of course, Tuesday and today, did you get all positive feedback from your drivers as far as pickups?
Well, I think Tuesday was a learning day.
Okay.
We didn't really have too many hiccups, but they were. I think they were glad when it was over, just because I think the extra. I don't know if stress is the right word of the situation, but maybe. But today went a lot smoother, but we still have, because of the closure yesterday, we still haven't had a day yet either. So we'll have another first day next week. So.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to add, a lot of the central office staff, including myself, rode buses on the first day, and transportation did a very nice job. They have magnets over the seat with the students' names, so they are socially distanced and they know where to sit, and they have A-Day magnets, and then they take those off and put up B-Day magnets. And the students that got on the bus that I was riding did a very nice job finding their seat, wearing their mask, and I thought it went very well.
And that doesn't come without a lot of hard work, organization. So, thank you. And I think we passed you last night going home from work. It was about 7:30.
Yeah, it probably was. Yes. I was checking the water last night. So.
Well, we thank you. Obviously, a lot of hard work, and like you said, good organization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is surplus vehicles.
Madam Chair, school board members, Dr.
He's going to
Gordon.
clean you up, not clean you up, but clean up the area. Thank you.
There we go. Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Thornton. Next would be 15.3, the surplus of vehicles. Also, what Mr. Levinstein was also doing with all of the other items going on, he was also actually cleaning up the actual annex, getting things in order, making sure that some protocols are in place. So there's some surplus vehicles. Now, we have the slide up there with the actual surplus, or is it just in your packet?
Yes.
In your packet, you'll find the 6 vehicles that are actually for surplus. And just the key to these vehicles are, they've gotten to a point now that it costs more money to actually repair the vehicles than the actual vehicles are worth. So now it's time to move on and surplus the actual vehicles, auction them off, and actually get new vehicles. So you have that in your actual packet to see.
Okay, this is an action item.
I make a motion to approve the sale of the surplus vehicles.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion. It has been seconded. Okay, motion passed. Next is the new lockdown procedure.
Yes, ma'am. The new lockdown procedures from the actual DCJS. Every public school should provide the parents of enrolled students with at least 24-hour notice before the school conducts any lockdown drill provided. However, that nothing is in the section shall be construed as such a notice to include the exact date. One thing that we don't have to do is give the exact date or the time of the actual lockdown drill. It's just giving the parents a notice that a lockdown drill will occur.
Okay, and that goes with one of the policies that we are looking at tonight. And that's what I didn't understand. If you give a 24-hour notice, how come that's not an exact date?
Yes, ma'am.
So help me understand that.
It's at least a 24-hour day notice. So it can't be 72 hours out, something of that nature, maybe even longer, stretched out than that, but at least a 24-hour notice. So no more lockdown drills that day,
Okay.
that day during school. We have to let the parents actually know that a 24-hour notice that there's a lockdown drill coming, so be prepared.
Okay, so it doesn't mean it's going to be the next day?
Does not mean it's going to be the next day.
Okay.
It could be, but it does not mean that. It could be a 48-hour time period, 72-hour, and beyond.
Okay.
All right, so just to let you know that. Next, we have the Division and School Safety Audit Surveys. The Division School Safety Audit Surveys have been completed at this time. So that's the Crisis Management Plan Review, Safety Inspection Checklist, Safety Audit Review, Division Safety Completion, and the School Safety Survey Completion and Review. So all of those audits at this time has been completed.
Okay.
Are there any questions concerning Division Safety School Audits?
Are those items that we saw last month that were concerns, you said that is something maintenance will be taken on. Is that
Well,
correct?
some of the concerns that you had from the actual school checklist were actually taken to the Division Crisis Management Team. And from that, Division Crisis Management Team came up with some plans. We took some of those plans to the actual executive team, where we came up with different avenues of approach to how to fix those issues, how to actually mitigate some of the actions that were going on with those issues. And that's what the whole cycle is about, finding the issue and actually mitigating the concerns from that issue.
And that's the whole thing about, they're really living documents. It's nothing that we
Absolutely.
put on the shelf for
Yes,
next September.
That's exactly right. And in the PowerPoint, you will see some of the other items that we actually went over at the Division Crisis Management Team.
Okay?
I'm going to go right down to the 15.7, 15.6 we already addressed.
No,
It's an
still out
action
there.
That's an
item.
action item. I
Still
do
out to
apologize
vote,
for skipping that. You'll see 15.6, the furniture purchase. It's an action item.
Can you show the,
Madam, oh, you need a,
can you show the desk?
oh, okay.
So this was the What you voted on earlier was to put the CARES funding into the maintenance line item so that we can purchase these desks. So if you see in the schools currently, with our philosophy of collaboration and team building, we have a lot of tables. Tables are not conducive to 6-foot social distancing. It is very difficult as we do even the AB. And so as we prepare further down the road and we fully come back, those tables are not going to be something we can do right now. So we're looking at these desks, and if you see, these desks can be put together. So we're not giving up on our philosophy and our beliefs. So these desks can be socially distanced, and then when it's appropriate and we are past the social distancing stage and can get back to normal, we'll be able to push them together again and collaborate. So the order is for a little over 2,000 desks and chairs.
Yes.
And so this is a major purchase, and they'll be able to be used in every elementary school. So do you have the exact amount?
No, sir, not. I don't have the exact amount.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion.
That should be in there.
Oh, somebody said something? Okay, Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we purchase the furniture as needed for COVID-19.
Second.
Okay, motion carried. Next is 15.7, support services full report.
All right. Support services, full report. Oh, I have the clicker right here. All right, first we have the, moving forward with Segura Solar. At this time, we're compiling the documentation of the rooftops and the inverter equipment layout. It will be given to the executive team for review. So if you look right on the PowerPoint, you have 5 different areas, or 6 different areas. You have the award and project agreements. That's an area that we already have went through. System planning feasibility report, design and engineering, PV installed system commissioning, and final completion. At this time, we're right there with the blue. In between the blue 2 sections with system planning feasibility report and design engineering. And at that stage, that's when we actually compile the documentation of the rooftop units and the inverter equipment layout. So just trying to figure out exactly what areas can actually fit what size solar panels at this time. So we're taking some time figuring it out. Actually talked to several of the gentlemen today, just making sure we have a secondary meeting and to ensure that we actually have the exact equipment that we need. All right. I got it backward. Next, what we have is the Windsor Elementary School Little Sprouts. Oops. Now, in the bigger picture right here, what you have is the Little Sprouts classroom. You can almost see the two-way mirror in the classroom in the bottom left-hand screen, and top you have the actual welcoming of the Little Sprouts. And these pictures here, you have the actual instructors of it, Miss Branch and Miss Tweed, the teacher cadet workroom, where all of the actual student teachers will be teaching, and the dynamic play area for the actual students itself. This is just an overview of those that was actually put together, and it's in action at this present time.
How many student teachers, the older students how many are currently in that program?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 3 teachers in the program at this present time. 3 student teachers, or 6.
6, okay. May I ask another question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they there every day, or are they there?
Yeah, they're doing that alternating
schedule.
Okay.
Mhm.
So does that mean that the student teachers, what are we calling them? The
Teacher,
teacher cadets?
teacher cadets.
So they're there, like some are there on an A and some are there on, some come on a B?
Right, we were working to get them all on the same schedule. Did we do that? Do you know? They're on different schedules.
Okay.
So they're doing the A/B. Morning and afternoon sessions, just like with the other CTE programs.
Okay. How many little students do we have?
We had 10. We're still at 10.
Okay.
They come every day.
5 days a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have room for more? Do you have room, is the limit is 10, or do you have space for more?
We do have space for more, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I meant to say the max is 10. I said the limit, I'm sorry.
All right. And what you see here is exactly what I can see when I actually go on the DCJS website. This shows that Isle of Wight they've completed all of the actual safety audits and the audits, and it gives the exact date that it was completed and the exact time that it was completed. So this information is archived, so anytime that you want to actually go and look up, did Isle of Wight do what we were supposed to do in 2014, 2015, 16, all you have to do is actually go to the site or actually call up to DCJS, and you can get this information right here. These are some of the items that we actually discussed with the Division Crisis Management Team. Discussion on the traffic flow pattern of Smithfield High School at this present time is not an issue, but last year and the years prior, this was a big issue. And we actually took this to the Division Crisis Management Team, and we actually met Deputy Phipps, Lieutenant Edwards, both high school, Smithfield, Mr. Johnson from the middle school, Mr. Thrift from the actual high school, Ms. Briggs, and of course, Mr. Livingston, the transportation director. We sat down to try to figure out, was it a better way to actually bring the kids in and take the kids out? We're still in discussion about, is there a better way? But we are thinking through that situation. Changes in the upcoming lockdown drills, as we already went over, expectations in fire drills this year. The Superintendent's Memo 157-20. Now, this memo, we had to actually bring it in to the Division Crisis Management Team, just due to the fact that it's a change, not a big change, but it's a small change. This is considering the menstrual supplies for all students available at no cost. Now, the key to this is will be available. They've always been available at school systems, but now it's going to be actually available in the restrooms of each school. Bathrooms for middle schools and high school will have these items available in there. And at the 5th to 6th grade level, they'll be available in the actual main office. This was a new superintendent's memo that just came down. So we are in compliance with that one also. Also, what's in your packet was the evacuate or lockdown shelter in place flow chart. This is a flow chart that was actually given out, or will be given out once approved, to all of the actual principals of the school and placed on the actual counter. So in case of a situation, a lockdown drill or something going on at the school that shouldn't be going on, there's a clear flow chart of exactly what should occur. So every principal in the actual division is doing the exact same thing. That's something that was very much needed and was pushed by the Division Crisis Management Team also. Now, the next Division Crisis Management Team will be on October 29th, 2020, 12/2/2. Any questions concerning the agenda for that, or the past agenda?
The only thing I was thinking of today, you know, we have, is it 2 fire drills the first 60 days? Is
All
it-
right.
Or what is it? The
Okay,
first- It's fire drills.
this is the actual code. A fire drill at least twice during the first 20 days of school.
All right, so that's my question. So now that we're on AB, is that gonna, like, is this to prepare the staff to lead their kids, so they have to have it? Or is it the A's gonna have to have 2 fire drills and the B's gonna have to have 2
Yes,
fire
the
drills?
A's are going to have 2, and the B's are going to have to have 2.
Okay, I was wondering that, thank you.
Yes. And at least 2 additional fire drills during the remainder of the school year, but yes, just to answer your question, that is yes.
Okay,
But yes, that's with the fire code. Any other questions concerning? All right. All right, Windsor Elementary School sewer pump. Now, the life expectancy on a sewer pump is 15 years. This one at Windsor Elementary School was in for over 25 years. And once again, it was a lot of fixes on the actual pump, but actually went out during the summer, so we were actually able to repair it before school started. So now it's actually in there also. But this is just a reminder of so many items in the division at this time that actually we're on that reoccurring schedule that 15 years is maybe the max, and we're getting to 30 years and 35 years on some of the items. Smithville High School girls and boys locker room renovation. This is some of the locker rooms that were renovated. Mr. Thrift was coming in during the summer, and one thing that Dr. Thornton had seen, that he wanted all of the actual locker rooms renovated up to stat. This is the renovation process, and this is what it looks like after the actual process is over. The girls and the boys locker room was pretty much done the same. Next is the Smithville Middle School CAES HVAC installations. On your left, you see the HVAC installation going in. That's a temporary unit right there until all of the suction is done for the actual water that's in the system. And on your right, what you see is the actual temporary unit that is actually running Carrollton at this time. With the actual HVAC units, everything is still on schedule to be completed. Everything is still on schedule to be completed. Were there any questions at this time with the support services full report? All right. 15.8, the COVID-19 meal distribution summary.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'll take this off. This is just an update on our food service report during the COVID closure. You have before you, but I'll just give you a brief summary. In March, the USDA and the VDOE provided waivers which allowed our food services department to provide reimbursable meals in a non-congregate setting. So beginning March 16th, with the first day of our 2-week closure, we very quickly got some sites together, and we actually had 18 distribution sites where we provided breakfast and lunch. 2 weeks later, when we found out we were going to be closed for the rest of the year, we added additional 15 distribution sites, so we had a total of 33 distribution sites, bus stops, as well as 3 school locations. Great volunteer effort. We had volunteers from the community. We had our bus drivers, our food service workers. We had teachers, instructional assistants. So it was a great effort. And when the end of school year, the USD waivers were extended again. And so we offered meals during the summer. So we started on June 16th. And we did 1 day of meal offerings. And it was 5-day meal kits of 5 breakfasts, 5 lunch. And then we continued that through August 24th. And the program was very well appreciated and very well received. And as you see in your numbers here, we served during this time for 5 months, we served approximately 225 breakfasts and 225,000 breakfasts and 225,000 lunches. So it was very well received. Wow. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feeling a little short. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Thornton. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about our professional development that we have had so far this year and where we are headed for the next year.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I think we
I was
missed
going to
six-
look, we missed
I think we missed 16.1.
zone transfer and application for non-resident report.
And she just
I
let me
thought you
walk
were
by
going to do
her.
that for us.
Don't go far.
You're next. Susan, wake up. Long day, right, Susan?
It's been a really long few days.
Summer.
Long summer.
Yeah.
Okay, so before you, you have the annual zone transfers and non-resident applications. We get many of these every summer. Most of them are employees who are requesting either zone transfers or requesting to bring their children to Isle of White County schools. And we are very fortunate that we do not have to charge tuition to our teachers. Many other divisions do charge tuition or some form of it. We do not, so most of these are for employees. We do have a good bit who also just want to go to another school. Maybe it's closer to their work, so parents request zone transfers. If there is room in those schools in those particular grades, we will try to accommodate. You will see very few for Carrollton just because of the size of our classes at that school. And then you'll see also the tuition students. Any questions?
Thank you.
All righty. Okay, Marcia?
Now, Miss Kale, we're ready for you, girl.
Well, I could have done that part. Okay, so professional development. Eric's giving me the look. All right, I knew we were going to get there eventually. Okay, so we started, as you can imagine, we had a lot to really consider as we started to think about what professional development was going to look like this year. So we started with a framework for learning, and we really thought about how we could honor the work that we've been doing around deeper learning and the instructional framework, while also balancing that with the needs of our teachers and our current reality, which was a big challenge. So a lot of this work also included things around building culturally responsive schools and instructional practices, which takes into account that every student coming to us is in a different place in each class, and every teacher is in a different place coming into this new way of teaching. We were also cognizant of the needs of each teacher will change with each phase that we move into throughout this pandemic. And we have to figure out how we're going to help them learn to navigate those challenges. So PD during Back to School Work Week was designed and delivered by our instructional coaches and our curriculum content leaders using many of the same methods that our teachers are using now to teach their students, allowing them to see and experience learning through the lens of both the learner and the instructor. So this is a little different than what they've typically experienced, because usually teachers show up during Back to School Work Week, we're all excited, yay, we hug, and then we go to PD sessions just ready to learn. This year, minus the hugging, we gave them small sets of pre-work that they had to do before they attended sessions. And then many of the sessions had these face-to-face Zoom meetings. They were short, but they gave teachers an opportunity to understand the why and how, and then also to ask questions of the people that were leading those sessions. All sessions, like I said, were short, and they were offered multiple times each day throughout the week to accommodate their learning needs in terms of how much they could handle in a day, how many times they needed to revisit a session, or if they were having additional questions that came up as they started to get into the content. So Back to School Work Week. As you know, our teachers this summer got their Google certification on the Google Suite. And this kind of set the foundation for their learning around what are the tech tools that are available to me, and also increasing that technological knowledge of how those tools can be useful in a virtual environment. So during the work week, we scheduled those sessions that would help link their current practice and understanding with the needs of our current reality. Session topics were around instructional framework in the virtual world, Canvas basics, social emotional learning. We also had some around platforms that they've used in the past, because they're asking us, well, how do I do this? So how to administer a STAR 360 test virtually, how to use ST Math to the best of your ability when you're not using it as part of your small group rotation, how do you now use that as something that students can do on their own and monitor it and help them with that? And then some of the newer resources like Remind 101 or Go Guardian or Performance Matters. So all of those sessions were things that we scheduled and asked every teacher to attend. Then we had sessions that were optional, and these were intended to really push their thinking. So those sessions included things like Zoom 2.0, formative assessment in a virtual world. How does that look different now? Integrating Google tools. How can I make these different suite tools really work for me and make my life easier in Canvas? And then how to create effective videos, which is going to be a really important skill over the next several weeks. Canvas conversations were also offered twice each day at 8 and 12, so that as teachers were really, that was the big platform that we knew was going to have the greatest challenges. And so we offered those sessions every day at 8 and 12, and teachers could get on there as they were learning it. So in real time, get feedback and have their questions answered on how do I do this? How do I create this assignment? What's a module look like? What do kids see when they log in? So those were questions that were answered for them as they came up. So we recognize that this learning curve is really steep, and that we really wanted to provide teachers just a basic understanding of Canvas and how to get started at the beginning of the year, while also extending them the grace and understanding that they likely wouldn't become masters of this program by day one. It's a lot to learn in 2 weeks. So our plan is to continue to build upon their skills. So moving forward, on the left column here, you see sessions that are being offered every week to our staff around Canvas or instructional framework, Zoom, if they're still struggling with that, ST Math, any of those types of things. And then on the right, you see topics that we are addressing more in small groups through the PLC process and one-on-one coaching rounds with our coaches. Finally, one thing that we didn't want to overlook is that of our new teachers. And I can't imagine how they're feeling coming into this as a brand new member of the field. So we've partnered with JMU and the Virginia New Teacher Support Program, and our instructional coaches will work with JMU directly and provide specialized coaching to those first and second year teachers on professional knowledge, instructional planning, delivery, classroom management assessment, those sorts of things. And so that's where we are right now. It's still very fluid, so once we get beyond October and we can assess really where our teachers are and what else they need and what our next steps are, we'll continue to build upon the plan.
And the teachers can still do this training on their Fridays, right? Because that's when they're doing training and
Yes, and they also have a Canvas course, and in that course, each one of these sessions is a module, and it includes all of the resources that were presented to them, as well as a copy of the Zoom session from Back to School Work Week.
So I did understand you to say, like, if I needed to go through that first training again, all I have to do is, it's available,
Yes,
where I
ma'am.
can go through that training.
At your own pace, and we are offering a session on Friday, so you could attend that session if you had more questions. And these sessions are a little longer. We allowed an hour for each one. So teachers can go, they're saying, well, I've watched the module again, I'm still really struggling with this key piece. I'm going to log into that session, and the coach is going to be there, and she's going to answer my questions and help me work through it one-on-one.
So when you say coach, are you talking about the instructional coach at each building?
Yeah, well, they're working district-wide right now.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
but
So who's
but
the
those 9
coach?
coaches.
Okay.
Depends on, it was better in terms of delivery for them to pick a session or two
I see.
and really focus in and
I
hone
agree.
the skills
Yeah.
on that one so they could really answer any troubleshooting question you have.
Be experts at that particular
Right.
thing. What was the biggest challenge? I know this was a completely different teacher back-to-school work week. What was the biggest challenge?
Probably laying out the schedule. Our coaches, they do such a wonderful job when they're working, especially working together on designing sessions, and then we practice those sessions, and we give them feedback on it, and so they're tuned, and then they're tweaked again, and then tuned again, and then they're presented. So there was that time crunch piece, but then trying to figure out how you're going to make sure that 600 people get every single session, and you're being cognizant of sessions that are from VDOE, that are curriculum standards types things, or when things are available, and trying to get all of that in and make sure everybody can get there. That was probably the most challenging part. And teachers would probably agree, reading the schedule might have been a little more complicated than they're used to.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, next is 16.3 capital improvement update.
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, every fall we submit a 10-year plan to our Board of Supervisors for capital improvement, and in your packet was the approved 10-year plan, which if you look at it in year 2021, has the first half of the money for the Hardy renovation, and then it does have $350,000 for Windsor High School roof. That's not the entire roof, that's part of the flat roof that was in our plan when we assessed roofs probably, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago now. And the main reason I bring this up is that this is the approved plan, but every year we should give, we have to update this, and we also should give our public an opportunity for input. I have had a few citizens contact me about Smithfield High School track and football fields. I actually run a little bit, although I don't look like that right now. I've gained a little weight with COVID. The track is in rough shape. We need to look at that. A track is a very expensive item. It's not a school, but it's an expensive item. The football field, we have done some work on it over the past 4 years, but probably needs some more work. We're in a very competitive region. Smithfield High School is a very large school, and so I know you're going to hear from some individuals, but I want to just make note to the public that we will have public input on the capital improvement plan next month at our school board meeting. So it'll be separate from the regular input, just to see if anyone has any suggestions, and then the executive team will evaluate those, do a cost analysis, and present that to the board to see if you want to add it to the plan as we move on. So is there
Okay.
any questions with that?
So how will that be communicated to the public?
So Lynn, do you want to answer that, or? So, yeah, go ahead, Lynn. Your communications.
We're going to be putting that information out in a lot of our usual channels. We'll get it on our website, we'll get it out on social media, we'll send it out to the papers, we'll do a Connect 5 as well, and we'll post that a couple times, not just a one and done. So we'll share that information multiple times, multiple locations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is 16.4, return to learn update.
Okay. So I'm going to start with, on the Return to Learn update, with our COVID-19 pandemic metrics that we received from the Virginia Department of Health. And for the week ending 9/5, the region is trending down and is at a moderate community transmission level. So that is down from red in the region. Isle of Wight is decreasing over the last 9 days, but still is considered fluctuating. You have to have a trend for 14 days for it to go to the next level, and so we have not reached that. And it is still red, which is high, and for percent positivity, it is at 10.8%, and the flag for red is 10%. So we are slightly above. So I think we have come down. I believe it was over 12 the last time I reported it to you, and it's come down because we are trending down over 9 days. So that's where we are. So one of the things I want to share, and we've been talking about with staff since we've opened now this week, and we've had a case, and I'm going to talk about that. A lot of what I'm going to share, some of you probably don't even want to hear some of the things I'm going to share tonight, but I want to be very transparent. These things may have happened in one of the schools, but they're probably going to happen in all of the schools, and it is our new reality. So I think it's important to share these things, and cases are going to happen in our schools. And as I talked to Dr. Wagner from our local VDH, when the community is at high levels, we're probably going to see more cases. So if the community is red, schools are going to start seeing cases within the school. And so the goal that we've talked about a lot with staff of our mitigation is that when we have a case, that we only have to isolate that one individual. And what that means is we've done a good job staying 6 feet apart, wearing our masks, washing our hands often, and doing what the CDC has told us to do. And so the case we did have, and we sent out a letter, and we will send out letters whether we have a confirmed case or whether we have to isolate a student for symptoms. We have different letters. So these letters will go out to the people who work in the buildings, parents that have children in those buildings. So we had a case at Westside Elementary School, and after contact tracing, it was one individual. And I will tell you, once that letter went out, some employees panicked about coming back today. And so that is a true reality. So, but I want to say, again, we're going to have cases. We know this. We're not isolated. The whole world is still living this pandemic and will be for some time. So, and that's a school that didn't have any children. So I want to emphasize calmness and share the reality. If a student gets sick and we space well and we keep them apart, then again, the goal is to have that one student go home and be isolated. And the reality is that room will be sanitized. We will use the special, I don't want to use that, what's the word? What are those called again? Where's Mr. Coleman? Yeah, the spray fogger. There you go, the fogger. We also have the spray. And so those rooms will be, just like you saw on the bus, highly sanitized. And within 24 hours, that teacher's coming back and every other student's coming back into that room, and we're moving on with learning. But that is our new reality. We have someone sick. Instead of going home for a couple days maybe and coming back, they're going home for 14 days and coming back, and we're moving on with learning. And so I just want to say it is scary, but we need to be level-headed and we need to be calm and set the example for our children. So I'm also asked about how many cases is it going to cause for a shutdown? And I'm a math guy. I like that question. And we all want to know, what is that magic number? We feel better if we know. Tell me 10 cases, so I know when we get close, I'm ready, but I can't tell you that. And in talking to Dr. Wagner, that's not scientific. Every situation is going to be based on its own merit. And I understand people want that number, but again, when I met with Dr. Wagner and VDH, he reiterated, there's not a particular number you are looking for, and there's no science behind a certain number of cases. And I know this is alarming because I've heard in the news There are some states out there that are saying if you have X number of cases in a university, let's close it down. So people are hearing that. That's not good science. And we're going to follow the science. We're going to talk to our local Virginia Department of Health and make strong decisions. So he did share some examples with us, and I thought you guys would like to hear this as we're making decisions. And so if you have like 4 students in a classroom versus maybe 4 students in the same school, 1 in each classroom, you know, how would you treat those things? And in talking to him, if you have a class with 4 students, all of them in the same classroom, you're not as concerned. It came in, there was some infection in that classroom, you isolate that classroom, you may shut down that entire classroom. And then you're 14 days and you come back and you move on. The more concern is the individual ones in each classroom, because it's coming in from the community, it's not coming in at one time and then spreading within that class. So then if you have 4, and then maybe you have another one pop up or another one, then we're going to start having the conversation of possibly closing a school. And so there's a lot that goes into it, and each one is going to be very particular, and we'll be working with VDH to help make those decisions. And so the key is to be in constant collaboration with our local VDH. And I'll tell you, Dr. Wagner picks up the phone every time I call and has been great to work with, and it's a good situation.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, you know, we're talking about how we're socially distancing, how we are able to have that 6 feet of separation. If there weren't like 50% of the families at Carrollton going virtual, and we did go back to school, everybody, is that even possible? Because I know you have 26, 24 in a class at Carrollton. Even if you break that in half, that's still a really full room. So I mean, like this, you know, giving that option to parents. And thank you to the parents who did, because it is a sacrifice for your home and your home life. I know I'm living it. I know I wanted to leave seats open for kids who maybe didn't have that same choice. But if there weren't people going virtual, would we be able to social distance the same way?
No, and that's a reality as we move forward and have to make decisions. Once you bring back every child, you're going to be in a situation where you're 2 to 3 feet apart, if you're lucky, depending on the classroom size. And then we are still going to be probably, even when we make that decision one day, we'll probably still have this virus around. So when it happens, you're going to talk about contact tracing, and now we are going to talk about multiple cases or multiple people sent home for isolation. So right now we do have an advantage that if we do a good job of staying 6 feet apart and not getting closer for more than 15 minutes, we should be able to do a good job. But once what you're describing, no, we're not going to be able to do that.
And it was roughly 50% in the northern area, and you said 60-40 in the southern end?
Yeah, close to those numbers. wasn't
Roughly,
it?
rough
Yeah,
numbers,
roughly,
is that?
yeah. Mhm.
And that would be 60 going in the southern and 40 virtual, and then 50-50 in the northern?
Yes.
Okay, roughly, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so next I'd like to share some of the things, like I said at the beginning, that are going to happen as we Zoom, or things that are going to happen in person in our AB schedule. And this is to be transparent and give the community the real situations that occur in our schools or on Zoom. So I'm going to start with number 1, the first day of school. You already heard I rode a bus. I had the opportunity to go to Carrollton and Hardy on the first day of school. An amazing day. And I also, some of our staff went to the southern end and said the same thing. We saw the spacing, we saw dots on the classroom so that they could still sit in a reading group but still be spaced. I saw happy faces of children to be together. And I was happy to see that. I saw happy teachers and and great enthusiasm. And I think if we continue that, then when we do have a case, we will hopefully only isolate that one student. I am concerned, and I said this to staff, I am concerned as we come back and do a good job and we love our kids and we feel comfortable that we'll let our guard down. And so I've asked everyone in our school to be safety patrol. Whether you're instruction or you're Mr. Coleman with support, we are all on safety patrol. Whether you are a bus driver, a secretary, a teacher, administration. It shouldn't just be a principle to say, hey, let's put on your mask when you're up walking around the room. Hey, we're sitting closer than 6 feet. Let's get those masks on. And I will tell you, Lynn's giggling under a mask. So I walked down the hall today because I had to ask Lynn a question in central office, and I forgot my mask. And Lynn said, you just told us this yesterday. I'm calling you out. I'm safety patrol. But that is our new reality. We all, I just strolled down to talk to Lynn many times. And, the masks are usually attached to us now. But that's what we have to do to help each other. And I'm going to call out Tracy too. Tracy and I work together closely. And I wear my mask if I ask Tracy to come in my office because I know we're going to be talking for a short period of time, but we still need to be wearing our masks and protect each other. I saw some teachers the other day in one of the parking lots that didn't have their masks on and were about 2 feet from each other. And I'm sure they're probably good friends and were chatting about the day, or maybe they were saying, why didn't that idiot close sooner yesterday when it rained? But whatever they were saying, they were too close because you are transmitting. And that's the whole reason to be 6 foot apart. And if you are close enough, wear that mask. So all these things, we're having conversations, and it's not to punish anyone or say you're bad. It's to let's protect each other and do a good job. So our goal is isolate one person at a time.
I will say I like Cheryl's little thing around the neck because you can just put it down, and it's not, I left it on my desk, it's still around your neck. So I like that, Cheryl.
So first day, wonderful. So the second thing I want to share was one school was having a Zoom, and at the end when the teacher was saying goodbye to everyone and what a great day, we had a student take a shotgun and cock it. And so we looked at the video through Zoom. It looked very real, and we had officers called. They went to the home because you have to do a safety check. I mean, that's a huge concern. We did find out that it was not real, it was a replica, but again, we took the appropriate measures. You can't do that in school, you can't do that at home on Zoom. And these things are going to happen. In fact, I heard a case earlier that day of this happening in Colorado, and again, Tracy, you're like my prop tonight. Tracy's husband had heard the case and said, you better tell Dr. Thornton to get on this. And it was like too late. We've already had one. So again, that's why I'm sharing this, because it could happen. And I'm hopefully sharing it so that someone else, another child, doesn't make that mistake. You're going to love this one. At least we're not eating right now. We had one student out of school throw up in their mask. And, kind of rough, but I will say the mask held almost all of it, which is very good, and easy cleanup. And I'm joking about it, but it is serious, but it's a reality. That is a symptom. Is that automatic isolation? No. We followed those protocols, and we are hearing today, waiting for the phone call from the doctor, and that student may be isolated, and we're following those, and that school may be getting a letter tomorrow. Again, not to panic, and hopefully it's only that one child if they are isolated, and that would be a symptom isolation. We've had calls, I know Mike and Susan, from the southern end of the county in particular, about inconsistent internet. And and a true feeling that for some students, they're just not getting the same experience of some students in maybe Carrollton or Smithfield. They also were very appreciative of the Wi-Fi signal in the school parking lots, the Wi-Fi buses that we put up in many other areas. But I do want to let people know it's not just the southern end. That's where we heard most of it. But percentage-wise, it is higher. And I do have those numbers just to share with the board. So through our research with principals, the numbers of students with unreliable internet at Windsor Elementary School, there are 40. And these are the students who are remote right now.
Is this percent or
in
the
virtual.
number?
Estimates, yes.
Is it the percentage or is it the?
This is an estimate, total number, yeah,
Okay,
total
so
number.
the total number of children.
And Carsville Elementary, 80. So right there you see a difference of Carsville, which is a much smaller school than Windsor Elementary School, double the amount of having issues. And these numbers may change too as we hear from more individuals as we move on. GTMS, 80 students. And Windsor High School, alarming, 145 students. In a high school of what, a little over 500? 568. So a large amount. Carrollton, 15. Hardy, 30. Westside Elementary School, 70. Smithfield Middle School, 50. And Smithfield High School, 100. So I think it's good to share that information. So it's not a north-south thing. It kind of is a rural thing. But there are homes still in the northern end that are fighting these problems. And Susan's going to share in a little bit some things we're finding out every single day as we implement this virtual learning, and some things we're going to do. And I will add Eric Cooprider is on the county task force to increase internet access. But the reality is across Virginia in our rural areas, companies are reluctant to invest in these areas because of the numbers. If you do not have a large number or large neighborhoods, it's not financially viable for them to come in and run cable. They're not going to make money. I know the county is looking for, and the Board of Supervisors has put up $1 million to help this process. And so we're working on it. But the reality is our students some of our students are really going to struggle. And I do want Susan to share more about that. Why don't you share that now?
All righty, good evening again. So we really have been focusing on what we can do for those students without internet. They are of great concern to us because we have students at this point who have not accessed anything. So in doing so, really trying to troubleshoot and figure out about downloading from Canvas. And so we've been spending a lot of time working on that and what does that look like and how do we provide instructions to students, parents, and teachers. And it is looking like for particularly like a high schooler that takes 4 subjects, that it could take up to 4 hours to upload assignments, okay, because they have completed assignments. They're going to upload those assignments to Canvas, download videos, and download assignments to complete. Could take 4 hours to do this. We really don't see how that's even feasible. For elementary students, like K-3, there is much less content, so we're thinking about an hour, so much more doable if you had to go to a parking lot and download for an hour compared to 4 hours of downloading. I know Mr. Lombardo was sharing when he visited Windsor High School, he saw a couple of students sitting in cars, windows down, doing their Zoom. And you know how hot it is. But that's what they've got, and that's what they're trying to do. So our concern is obviously giving access to these students. And at this point, we are really recommending that we explore bringing some students to the school for a limited period of time to allow them to download, maybe even do some live Zooms, because this isn't doing anything live, what we've talked about downloading. You're not participating in any live lessons with your teachers and other students. But if we could bring them in perhaps and allow them to do some live, allow them to download the content, we really want to explore that. And I know Laura went ahead and set up her gym, and I think she said if she could get 65 in.
So Susan, how does that compare, the 3 to 4 hours to download, compare to a student who is virtual and has reliable internet at home? What do they have to do? Do they download, and what is the time difference?
Yeah, so if you're home and you are Zooming, then you're participating in there, you're getting the instruction, and you're just downloading assignments. I mean, you're talking fraction of the time to download an assignment and to upload it as compared to after the fact having to take the video and download it. It's hard to even compare.
Right, so this is one of those realities. We had no idea that when we were talking to families saying, yes, you won't be able to participate if you don't have reliable internet in that back and forth with the teacher in the Zoom session, but you can download the recorded video of it. We had no idea it was going to take 3 to 4 hours to download that material, because then you're talking about 4 classes, and so that is such a huge disadvantage. And then to say the only place you can download that is sitting in a parking lot. So this just came up today with Susan, Mike, and some of the instructional team members. I know Marsha was in there and others talking about this. I do think that we will put some sort of plan and bring back to the board to discuss. It's not bringing them back, AB or anything like that. It's not part of the 9 weeks discussion. It is simply to come in and maybe be in a gym and just download and go, something like that. And so we may be looking at doing some of that, and maybe not just in Windsor High School. When you talk about 100 students at Smithfield High School, we may look at something like that. Just wanted to inform you that we may be doing that. If we do that, I will definitely email you, let you know, and let you know the results of that.
I have a question.
And
Yes,
could I
ma'am.
just make one comment?
Sure.
And this is not unique to Isle of Wight County. This is a problem for every rural area in the Commonwealth of Virginia and all over the United States. Everybody shares this problem.
It is, and you know, when you talk to some of the districts in our region who, you know, maybe are, you know, have internet access, that have the capability, I should say, their solutions are pretty simple. They get a hotspot, they give it to the family, and the family connects. We don't have that solution. Eric has tried multiple hotspots and 3, and as soon as he hears of one, he's purchasing it and he's trying it out, and they don't work well because you can't get the cellular signal for it to work. So it's very slow, very spotty. That is not going to solve, if that could solve our problem, you know, but it's not going to solve our problem. Kids are still not going to be able to access the content. And I'll say this, you know, why we're kind of learning about this. You know, all of Virginia was offered Canvas. It was purchased through VDOE. They put it out there and they offered it. So it took a while for them to integrate, much longer than we anticipated. So we didn't have a ton of time to really try this out and troubleshoot. We went off of what we were told, and we were told, yes, you can download. Well, you can. And it's not as hard if you have a little bit of content, but to download the amount of content that our high schoolers need, some of those courses, AP courses, dual enrollment, to download that type of content, it's going to take up to 4 hours, we're thinking. I mean, we know it's going to take about 4 hours. We did not know that, and we're learning as we go as well, so that's kind of where we are.
When you say 4 hours, is that 4 hours for each class?
No, about an hour each class.
An hour, so that would be 4 hours for the day?
Sitting. Yes, yeah, 4 hours sitting, and it would include, you have to upload your assignments to Canvas. You have to download the teaching videos. You have to download the assignments. We're thinking that that's going to be 3 to 4 hours, probably closer to 4 for high schoolers.
And then you got to complete them and send it back.
Then you have to, yes, take them, complete them, and then drive back, get in a parking lot, start it all over again. So, I think, Ms. Tynes, did you have a question?
I did. I have a question for Mr. Cooprider. I wanted to follow up.
Great.
Last month when I asked him the question, if it was possible if he could contact one of the suppliers that we have in the area for Wi-Fi and those type things.
Charter.
Yes.
Charter Spectrum.
Charter Spectrum.
I did contact our charter rep and asked them if we could extend that beyond what they currently said. He said he would send it up to corporate.
Okay.
That was the last I heard.
And the reason I said that, because I don't know if any of you all have Charter Spectrum, but they have increased Wi-Fi from last month to this month. So there's a possibility the amount of students that you all have given us tonight, that could increase too, as far as them not having Wi-Fi. If the parents' budget is already to that point where I can't pay that extra $20, $25 that they're asking me for.
Oh, I definitely anticipate these numbers to go up. I think this is a conservative.
Right.
Right. I mean, we're just getting started, and this is what we're hearing so far.
So I really don't think is one of those things that they should be doing, especially because Alawite County considered a rural area. And if necessary, board members, we may have to reach out to our state reps and federal reps again and let them know that these people are doing this. And our students, we have to supply an education to our students. And if they're going to be increasing Wi-Fi because we can do it because we know there is a demand for it now, it's just not right. That's just like if we go in the store, when they had the issue with the toilet paper back when we had the shutdown. Well, that's what they're doing to our students now and their parents with the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
I have a
Cooprider,
lot,
for
so
checking on that.
So the next is, we had good news from our sheriff, who has decided to put the school resource officers in the elementary school for the first 9 weeks. So we want to thank the sheriff.
Very good.
And the last thing I want to go into is some of the financial impacts of the pandemic that are hitting schools. And really, I'm just going to say, stop the smoke and mirrors. And I'm going to call some people out. And we are headed for a shortfall just in Isle County of $1.8 million between sales tax revenue and ADM. ADM is the average daily membership. That's how we get funded. How many students show up in our doors? All schools across Virginia now are affected. Not all of our students have chosen to come back. Parents are homeschooling. Parents, maybe because of this impact of internet, are choosing to do their own thing. Well, we've already hired our teachers. We've hired our secretaries, our aides, our bus drivers. And the majority of our funds are paying people. And so to have that type of potential shortfall is a real crisis. So one of the things that came out, and I don't know if that was in your packet, did we share the state sales tax by county? I can get that to you. Well, anyways, that came to us just, was it yesterday, Rachel? Yesterday. And this is the smoke and mirrors that I'm sick of the General Assembly doing to localities. So they sent us a report and said we're going to be about $370 short this year in sales tax. And then next year was a similar amount because budgets weren't going to biennium 2 years. And then they have in the next column the adjusted local share for your county, and they put the same dollar amount. So on that piece of paper, it looks like Isle of Wight's $370,000 short in sales tax this year, but the local government will have to pay the $370. Well, I'm here to tell you our local government pays more than their local share, and because of that, will not be required to pay the $370. If it comes down to that, I hope they give us the $370, but it should not be dumped on the localities, nor should the state send out a document pretending that's a wash for school systems. It's a wash if the local government and the local taxpayers pay the bill that the state doesn't want to pay. That's why it's a wash. And I'm not going to be one of the superintendents that smiles at legislators who are not doing their job. The next point, which is even more concerning, is the ADM. Right now, we're looking at over $1.3 million shortfall if we don't have any more students come. So I will say there was a bill introduced during this session, Senate Bill 5069. Public schools declared state of emergency, average daily membership, introduced by Senator Frank Ruff, Republican. And what this says is it's declaring a state of emergency, and in his bill he's saying is we are going to fund schools by last year's ADM if that is higher than your current year, which is holding schools harmless. We did not cause the pandemic. We have the same bills to pay and more bills to pay with all of the mitigations that we put in place. So that went through the Senate Subcommittee of Education and Health and was voted out positively, 15 yes and 0 no, which excellent news. Unfortunately, then it goes to the next committee, which is the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee. And there, the vote was to pass over this bill indefinitely, which means it doesn't get to the full Senate for a vote. And if you don't know Politics 101, and this is good, this is better than your history class, isn't it? Government class. So what that means is that's what they do if they want to kill a bill. It's still there and they could bring it back, but that's a convenient way to kill a bill and not have to vote and be on public voting for it. Well, the people in that committee are on public voting for it, and I'm going to call their names. The people who voted this down and are not going to hold us harmless at this point are Janet Howell, Democrat Chair, Louise Lucas, Democrat, and our representative in Isle of Wight County. So call her up, email her. George Barker, Democrat. John Edwards, Democrat. Cray Deeds, Democrat. Mamie Locke, Democrat. David Marsden, Democrat. Jennifer McClellan, Democrat. The Democratic Party that claims to be in support of public education just voted down supporting public education. The people who voted no to this and said you should hold it harmless is Richard Saslaw, Democrat, Tommy Normant, Republican, Emmett Hanger, Republican, Stephen Newman, Republican, Frank Ruff, Republican, and Adam Eben, Democrat. And the two people who did not vote were Jill Vogel, Republican, and Chapman Peterson, Democrat. To me, this looks like partisan politics. It's mostly Democrats. Maybe if a Democrat had brought this up, maybe they would have voted for it. What I'm saying is, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, you need to support K-12 education in this pandemic, and you need to get back and vote this and help public schools education. And the only way to get this out is for superintendents or school boards and others to tell their public what's really happening. I want to know why they voted this down. And I want to know why they're passing the buck to our localities like they always do. So that's me preaching, and that's the end of my preaching for tonight. But I will say, if they don't take this action, the next reality is I am going to have to start compiling a list of who I'm going to furlough. Who am I going to furlough? I'm already not filling positions, teaching positions who have left. We're not filling those. We're adding those students to another teacher. I have to do that because I can't overspend a budget. I have to fill a hole of $1.8 million. If they don't act, our employees, from administrators down, are going to be furloughed. That's the reality. So someone needs to pick up the phone in their emails and call them out on it. Thank you, Madam Chair. But I do want to end on a happy note. We have pictures from the first date. So I'm Debbie Downer, but now I'm going to be happy. First day school pictures. Here we go. And then you can ask questions.
Well, I'm glad to hear something happy. Let me see it, too.
Do we want to ask questions before the happy pictures?
No, I'm ready for the happy.
All right.
Can we have music, too? I need music with these happy pictures. Eric, sing.
Do we find a YouTube song?
Oh, are we supposed to talk about the pictures? I can't even see them. Yeah. I don't know how well you can see them, but if you look at the classrooms, some of those classrooms we went in, the kids were all spaced appropriately. Some had the plexiglass up. Some of the kids chose to wear their masks, even though they were socially distanced. A variety of things. There was some Zooming. That one in the top left is Hardy. And I'll tell you, the fourth grade teachers at Hardy decided, let's bring our own TVs into the classroom so that they could see their kids on the big TV versus a tiny monitor. And that's what they decided to do. So a lot of creativity, enthusiasm from our teachers. I went by a Zoom room where one of the teachers had Curious George and stuffed animals at every desk. And so the students weren't there, but she had stuffed animals for her students and shared that with her students through Zoom. So I'm telling you, when it's time to step up and work for kids, educators do. And so just some great first day pictures. And that one outside, you see them spaced out. I went to Hardy, and they were explaining how they can play ball and do things outside at recess, and they were really spread out. And then they did a good job, marked off areas. So again, so much creativity to try to make school as normal as it could be. And little girl in the bottom right, is that the one with, I made it through the first, I rocked the first grade, first day of first grade. And yep, like I said, so many smiles of our kids back in school and doing what we do best.
And they are so cute with the little mask on. They have the cutest little face with the mask.
All right, thank you. That's my Return to Learn report.
We'll do better next month. You're going to do better next month?
If the Senate and the delegates do better, I'll do better.
Okay. Well, I already sent my email, so I'm on it.
I did mine as well.
That's right. I will say one of the saddest things that I heard on the back to school, and I hate to be a sad, add more sad to it, but it was like, kids they're used to the hugs. And even with the little mask, they go to the teachers to hug, and the teachers had to hold their hands up like we can't do that. I thought, oh, that's so sad, but maybe one day. All right, where are we? We are on 17.1, personnel report.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the personnel report and addendum.
Was there a second? Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, motion carried. 17.2, religious exemption request. This is an action item.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve religious exemption request SEP01.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and motion second. Okay, motion carried. 17.3, religious exemption request, SEP02.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve religious exemption request SCP-02.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Okay, motion carried. 18.1, meeting minutes, donations, and financials.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion carried. 19.1, policies and second read. Okay, I have one question on KNAJ. I just want to know, how will the change in wording from criminal offense to felony affect our policy? I mean, it's only a one-word change. Will it? I wasn't sure as to.
Honestly, I am not sure. It's a VSBA recommended change, and I can certainly investigate and follow back up with you if necessary.
I think something could be a criminal offense, though, and not be a felony offense. It could be a lesser offense. So I would think a felony offense would be an increase in the
It does seem to
severity.
specify the type of offense more so than saying criminal.
It was only a one-word change. I wasn't sure.
Is it criminal to felony?
It's criminal to felony,
It-
Yeah, it's criminal too.
Okay, so yeah, so it's making it more specific and it being a higher crime, being a felony.
Okay,
So it's probably giving us more leeway.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an action item.
Madam Chair, I recommend we approve the policies for second read.
Second?
Right, Eric.
It'll go then.
Okay, motion passed. 19.2, policies for the first read. Any questions or discussion? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to 20.1. Any board comments?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm happy to be back. And second of all, I really appreciated the conversation we had tonight about internet service, because I am one of those students that does her Zooms from a parking lot. And so in case those numbers at Windsor High School ever seem a little far away or hard to understand, here I am, I'm living proof. And just to give you an idea of what some people are going through, yesterday, because of the inclement weather, I could not leave my house. So I tried to download an 11-minute video from Canvas. The estimated time was 4 hours for an 11-minute video. And then I proceeded to try to stream this video, and with buffering for an 11-minute video, it took me 2 hours to watch. So just to give you an idea of what some rural students have to go through, and by the way, I actually live in Smithfield, so I'm on the northern end. I'm one of those numbers too. And I live a few minutes away from the Y in Smithfield. So really, we're not even so far away, but we have such a different experience from all other students. So just to give you a living example, and thank you, I'm happy to be here.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. That's just sad. Nothing else? Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to thank all the parents and the teachers. I know this week has been a trying one. I'm home with 3. It has been trying, and I am familiar with a lot of the systems. And it is trying and it is exhausting. My husband and I both work 40-hour weeks. And so I understand what you're going through. And, you know, the first week was trying, and I'm just hoping it gets easier from here because everyone gets more used to what we're doing. And I thank you for your patience, your positive attitudes, and, you know, the willingness to work. I know people who have gone all virtual, it is a sacrifice, and people who are on AB schedule, that's a sacrifice too. So we're all trying to do what's best for our community, for our students, for our children, and we appreciate you working with us as a team. So thank you.
I'm fine. She said what I would have said, so.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
need
we
to
all
re-
second
I don't
what-
need to
what
repeat
Vicki
it, so I
said.
just
Yeah,
second
thank
it.
you. And like I said at the beginning, I mean, first week of school, and it's 2020 with already having to close a day of school. But the challenges are real, but everyone has worked so diligently, and we so appreciate you all. And with that,
Oh, can I have one?
Miss
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Thornton has something to say.
I'm sorry. And
Linda, a happy note. Is it happy?
Yeah, I would say one is information, the second one's very happy.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is, I just want to mention that we'll be contacting you. We really are going to need to have another school board meeting prior to the next regularly scheduled meeting so that we can have a vote to decide what to do for the next 9 weeks as we move forward. If we wait till the regular meeting, we won't have time, depending what the vote is. So I'll be contacting board members and we'll have that discussion.
Because the first 9 weeks ends when? November?
First week of November. So that would give us less than 2 weeks to hit the ground running. So we really need to have that discussion. And I will bring the metrics, I will bring the data that we've had so far in the elementary school. I'll bring you conversations with our local healthcare providers and to make that decision of what are the next steps.
Okay.
And the very good news, the Board of Supervisors held a bond hearing this evening for the money for Hardy Elementary School, for West Side, I'm going to call it West Side Middle School, and for other public items that we need in the county. I believe some is fire and rescue. I'm not sure what all of them are, but much needed things for this county. And the Board of Supervisors unanimously passed with a positive vote to move forward with the bond. So that's a good way to end.
How did you get that information so fast?
Someone texted you.
The internet.
Mike,
It works here at Smithfield High School, huh?
It works at the school.
Okay. And Mr. Wilson has something he wants to say.
Okay.
Yes, I just want to commend everyone for a job well done. We have to be tight among ourselves. A house divided against itself cannot stand. We hope that we all go in the same direction for the same reasons. The only thing I can control is myself to try to do the right thing, do what's fair, be consistent in all of our dealings, that we don't have to prove anything to anyone, just do the right thing. I want to commend all of the individuals that are here, and also when I look out here and I don't see chairs all around the place, that sends a message. That sends a message. Doesn't say we're all on the same page, but it's all trying to get there, because sometimes people will tell the part that they want to hear, and then conveniently forget about the part that they might have received. I only say, I just hope that we can have a good school year, but it depends on us. Positive attitudes, doing the right thing, being fair and consistent. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.